A Labour special advisor to Gordon Brown, Paul Sinclair, as well as Alan Miller, who was from the Better Together campaign. Let's start with you, Paul. Has a government ever been able to roll out an IT project successfully?
Very, very rarely, I find. But I mean, this policy is completely and utterly ridiculous. They are saying that we need a vaccine passport to ensure that we don't spread COVID. Well, I'm double vaccinated. That still means I can carry COVID and infect people with COVID. When I was recently in London at a reception where you had to prove you were vaccinated and at the same time you'd had a flow test that day. Whereas this time in Scotland, you just need to prove that you've been vaccinated, but you may still have it. Why would they go for such a policy? Very, very simple. When Westminster was in favour of vaccine passports, the Scottish Government was against it. Yeah. Now, the Westminster Government aren't going to bring them in. The Scottish Government will, even though they'll be ineffective and they can't get their IT system to work.
It's interesting because when the winter toolbox was announced a couple of weeks ago, to great fanfare, one of those number 9 Downing Street press conferences we've grown to know, vaccine passports were kept in that toolbox and may be deployed in England a little bit later. So, Paul, are you saying that potentially if Boris Johnson introduces vaccine passports this winter, Nicola Sturgeon might remove hers?
They could well do so. I mean, her deputy, John Swinney, who should be in charge of actually making this work, he gave a passionate speech against vaccine passports just a few months ago and has now completely and utterly U-turned. You have to understand the thinking of the Scottish Government. This is a Scottish Government who could even complain when Westminster wanted to give the NHS in Scotland an extra £300 million because they were doing it directly to the NHS and not through them. They are now in favour of this extra spending in the NHS, who could be against it, but because it's coming through their books and their coffers. It must be very, very easy to be a nationalist, and you must understand this. You don't actually need to think of a policy for Scotland. You just need to think what Westminster's doing and disagree with it.